Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Mindshift Mami Podcast, a space where we are embarking on a journey of self-growth, transformation, and empowerment. I'm your host and friend on this journey, Jazri. Today, I want to dive deep into a topic that can deeply transform our lives, and that is understanding the differences of what a fixed mindset and what a growth mindset are, and how they impact your life depending on which one you are gravitating towards more. We're going to go into some research. I'm going to share some of my own experiences as I am on this journey of shifting from a fixed mindset to more of a growth mindset. And we'll uncover together how these mindsets shape our experiences. I will also provide some practical steps that you can begin to implement into your life to shift towards a more empowering perspective. Spoiler alert. The growth mindset is the one that we want. As you listen along to this episode, I want you to really think about the definitions of things and the examples of mindsets and really apply them to your own life, your own experiences, and rate yourself on where you have a growth mindset and where you have a fixed mindset. I have come to learn from experience that mindset is fluid. I don't believe that you necessarily are just a fixed mindset person or just a growth mindset person. I think it depends on what area in life you are looking at. That's why it's important to analyze yourself and really be honest with yourself. If you start seeing fixed mindset ticking one too many times and you don't have too many areas where you're having that growth mindset, then you can start to reevaluate the way you think about things and just level up. So let's get started. So I'm going to get right into the definitions of fixed mindset and growth mindset. And we're going to start with a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset describes people who believe their intelligence, their talents, and their personalities are fixed traits that they cannot grow. People with a fixed mindset believe we are born with a certain level of abilities or special skills, and that we are unable to improve our level abilities over time. People with a growth mindset are people who believe that their success relies on time and effort. People with a growth mindset believe that their skills and that their intelligence can grow over time through perseverance and improved with effort. So keeping those two definitions in mind, we can start to think about how our mindset that we choose impacts our beliefs, our actions, and the outcomes of all of these decisions that we make in life. When I see the fixed mindset definition out on paper, it seems kind of ridiculous to me, even though I know there are many places in my life where I have had a fixed mindset and some places that I'm sure I still do without even realizing. But the concept of it is kind of crazy because if you believe that you were born with everything that you will ever know for the rest of your life, or your abilities will always just be the best that they were with whatever you grew up with, at what point do you stop growing with that mentality? Like, what is the cutoff age for your abilities? It just doesn't make sense when you actually sit down and think about it, because everything that we are able to do in this life is something that we have learned to do after we were born. I was not born knowing how to walk. I was not born knowing how to crawl. I was not born knowing how to speak. Those are all things that I had to learn over time, over the span of years. So why is it that we adapt this mindset, a fixed mindset, and believe that every other skill and talent that we would like to obtain in life is just like no goes? Like, no, sorry. No, you weren't born with that. Oh, you can't play the flute right away. Like, it's that kind of mentality, basically, that a fixed mentality comes down to. And I think the more we separate ourselves from it and realize that it just really doesn't make sense, we will realize that a growth mindset is the way to go. Now, with a growth mindset, your brains and your talent are just the starting point. Doesn't that just sound so much better? Doesn't that just sound so much more empowering? The talents and the gifts that maybe came more naturally to me as a child or as a young adult That's just my starting point. That's just my base. With a growth mindset, I can learn and grow even more. Having a growth mindset helps you create a perspective of loving to learn and understanding the importance of learning. A growth mindset also helps you cultivate resilience, which is like the ability to keep on going no matter what. Even when you do fail the first time and the second time and the third time and the fourth time, you just keep going and trying different ways and new things and learning new ways to do whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish. This goes for so many different aspects of our life, whether this is your career, whether this is you trying to learn a new instrument, whether this is you doing a podcast for the first time. It's just so necessary. If you have a fixed mindset when it comes to your abilities, chances are you are not going to get very far in life to achieve your passions and your purpose. So let's get into some common traits of a fixed mindset and check off mentally what you do and don't agree with here. Okay. You believe that intelligence and talent are static. You avoid challenges to avoid failure. You ignore feedback from others. You feel threatened by the success of others. You hide your flaws so as not to be judged by others. You believe putting in effort is worthless. You view feedback as personal criticism, and you give up easily. I can definitely relate to some of these. I have definitely avoided challenges in the past to avoid failure. I have hidden my flaws. There are times where I am very conscious about being judged by others, and I have to work really hard to not take feedback as personal criticism. An example of when I had a fixed mindset was when I took my first Zumba class, and this was close to 2 years ago now. But I remember going to my first class with a friend who was new too, and I just remember feeling so dumb in the class because it seemed like everybody there but me was able to quickly grasp the choreography and were like professionals, and I just felt like I looked stupid trying to catch up. And I remember that I did not go back to that class for a very long time because I just quit on myself because I couldn't get it down perfectly in my first class, which in retrospect sounds so silly and ridiculous for me to have had such high expectations for myself. But yeah, I didn't return because I didn't nail it. I felt silly. I felt judged, even though nobody was judging or looking at me or caring. But that was the results of my fixed mindset at that time. I felt like if I could not get it done right the first time, I didn't want to do it. So I quit early and I did not put in time. And I did not realize that all I needed to do was put in some time to be consistent with going and to be resilient with not caring if I looked stupid or not, and to just be more into the fact that I was learning something new. So if you find yourself avoiding doing activities because you feel like you just can't nail it the first time, if you find yourself being really super sensitive to constructive criticism or feedback from people when it comes to like work projects or even like your personal relationships, you may have a fixed mindset, and we want to work on that. So now we're going to get into the traits of a growth mindset. So again, same thing, go through the list and check off what does and does not apply. Traits of a growth mindset include somebody who embraces challenges, they persist through obstacles, they learn from criticism, and they are inspired by the success of others. With a growth mindset, we aren't afraid to acknowledge our failures and learn and grow from them. You can actually find inspiration in your failures to keep moving and improving in life. I'm realizing a big part of a growth mindset is learning to not be so hard on yourself. I feel like with a fixed mindset, we are super hard on ourselves. This totally ties into perfectionism. I'm sure a lot of fixed mindset people have perfectionism. I have another episode on perfectionism. If you haven't listened to that, you can listen to that one. I just think that's a good thing to keep in mind, that when we are differentiating between shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, it's almost like this air of being more light and free and carefree and okay with making mistakes, okay with being human and learning and growing. Just like we did as kids, we just learned, we just crawled because we wanted to. What baby has ever given up and been like, nah, I'm not going to crawl. Nah, I'm not going to walk. Do you see any crawling adults out here? No. I believe a growth mindset is the mindset we were naturally born to have. And then through society and conditioning, we adopt fixed mindsets. So it's really all about connecting back to our authentic selves and relearning our growth mindset. Here are some benefits to having a growth mindset. You have enhanced self-confidence, which makes so much sense. Because as you achieve small wins and you are just consistent with things, you're going to build more trust within yourself, which then breeds that confidence and that knowing of yourself. And then you're just going to get addicted to taking on more bigger and new challenges. And you're going to have a positive outlook on them as well, because you're going to see through small steps what you have achieved in your life with your growth mindset. Another benefit of a growth mindset is that you will definitely have stronger relationships in your life than you would with a fixed mindset. When you have a growth mindset, you embrace more qualities like empathy and understanding in your relationships. You're not holding people to an unrealistic standard. You're not holding yourself to an unrealistic standard because you understand the need for learning and growth as humans. You're more receptive to feedback. You see it as an opportunity to learn and improve. And just this overall openness enhances your communication style, the way you collaborate with people, and your ability to solve issues when they come up. So many benefits to a growth mindset. A growth mindset also allows you to have more creativity and innovation within yourself. It encourages you to explore new ideas and things that you never would have thought of to be possible with a fixed mindset. You start approaching things differently with a different point of view. You're more willing to take risks and push boundaries, which leads to more creative solutions and innovative thinking. Basically, a growth mindset helps foster an environment where you're not afraid to think outside the box, push the boundaries, challenge the status quo, which is so necessary. The great thing about this is that you can adopt this growth mindset at any time, at any age. My same example from my Zumba class. I took that class 2 years ago. Sometime later, maybe like 6 months or so after that class, for some reason, I decided to go back. And this time I stuck with it. I came back every week. The class was twice a week. I tried to go as much as I could. I went at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. And when I tell you the transformation that I saw within myself, within weeks and months of being consistent and going to class and learning the choreography, because I realized that the choreography was actually repeated every week. So why would I know it one day in? By continuing to go, I was able to grow that connection between my body and my mind and the choreography. And I'm not by any means saying that I'm perfect at the choreography. I'm not. But what has changed is my mindset about the class. I'm going there to have fun, to learn. And I get excited about that now. By staying consistent with that dance class, I have now seen so many positive implications in my life. Physical wise, I have lost weight. I have gotten more toned. I have a more active lifestyle, which is obviously benefiting me in more than one way. I have opened up more. I'm more confident. I'm not as shy as I was in the beginning. I used to be in the back of the class all the time, and now I don't do that. And this was all due to me adopting a growth mindset by just taking one step at a time. I did not know where this was going to lead, but I decided to just trust myself and just show up. That small choice I made each week to just continue to show up has impacted me in countless ways. all positive. So let's get a little bit into the research behind mindset. Research has shown that a growth mindset has had an impact on children's behavior. When children with a growth mindset were studied, they had higher levels of effort, resilience, and motivation. Carol Dweck is a doctor who has done a lot of research on mindset. She actually coined the term, and I highly recommend her book called Mindset, the New Psychology of Success, in case you are interested in looking into this further. In one of Dweck's studies that she speaks about in her book, her team analyzed students' brain activity while reviewing mistakes they made on a test. Those with a fixed mindset showed no brain activity when the reviewers were reviewing their mistakes. But the people whose brains had a growth mindset showed processing activity when they were reviewing their mistakes. So what this was basically saying is that people with a fixed mindset have no interest in learning where they went wrong and what they could potentially correct, because they believe that they just don't know something and it is what it is. Whereas somebody with a growth mindset, their brain sparks up and they're interested to learn what they got wrong so that they can learn it and move forward with more knowledge. People with the fixed mindset, their brains lit up when they were just being told what they got right and what they got wrong, just to hear what their actual test score was. They were more focused on, what is the score I got? In a fixed mindset's mind, that determines how smart or dumb you are, just like how well you did on the test. That's the most important thing to a fixed mindset. Whereas a growth mindset, it does not allow a test to determine their intelligence. They understand that it's just a test and it doesn't determine their self-worth, but rather are more interested in what they can learn and bring forward with them to become even better. So our brains literally can show and signal where and when we are adopting a certain kind of mindset. Up until very recently, people used to believe that our brains after a certain age were just fixed, like there was no more growing that you could do. However, new research has shown that our brains do not stop growing in response to new learning. You may have heard about neural plasticity a lot lately, or brain plasticity, and it can be defined as the ability of the nervous system to change its activity in response to intrinsic or extrinsic stimuli by reorganizing its structures, functions, or connections. Basically, you can teach your brain to grow. That is what new research is showing us. So please do not believe the commentary of you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, you can. The dog can be interested in learning it, and then the dog can grow. And that dog is you. It is really, again, just on you and the mindset you currently have. And if you're in a fixed mindset, you're going to just decide that no, you can't grow. And that is what it is. But if we just flip that switch to a growth mindset, you will realize that you can learn anything that you want to with just some time and dedication. So now let's get into some practical tips for cultivating this growth mindset. The first one that I would like to recommend to you is to try and do something that you would have otherwise considered to be risky. In a growth mindset, we need to realize that the fear of failure prevents us from attempting new things. It's not even the failure itself, it's just the fear of failure. Because once you get to the failure, you realize that it's really not that big a deal. There have been so many times, so many people, so many examples we know of where people have repeatedly failed time and time and time again until they finally made the big success that we know and love them for. But a lot of the time we forget about the failure. We don't pay attention to Michael Jordan's path. We forget all the times that Steve Jobs failed at things. Failure is a necessary step to success. Yes, it doesn't feel great to be rejected or like a failure or like a loser. But again, that's just us getting into our own heads, being the fear of being judged by others, instead of looking at that failure as a learning opportunity. We always learn something from our failure. We need to start looking at it as lessons instead of avoiding them. Why would you avoid a lesson? It's going to teach you something. Might be a little painful, But guess what? Pain is also a great teacher. Fear is a totally normal thing to feel. The important thing is that you take the step regardless of that. You take the step despite you feeling fear. That, my friends, is called courage. So whatever that risky thing is really totally depends on you and what your goals are in life, what you're currently doing. Some examples might include if you are trying to be a social media influencer or something like that, or you want to be more online. An example could be you posting a TikTok video on whatever topic it is that you would love to speak about. Post your first video on TikTok if you have not done that yet. It is a great practice to be kind of risky and put yourself out there and learn and grow and begin to get better and better at making your videos and finding what it is that you want to do. My risky activity that I did was I took an improv class a few months ago, and I was so nervous and scared to even sign up and do it. Again, I didn't know if I'd be good at it right away. There's that fixed mindset coming in when really the whole point of a class is to not be an expert and to learn and to grow in it. I'm so glad I did it. It was not nearly as hard as I had built it up in my head. I really learned a lot from there. I learned a lot about myself. And I almost didn't do that because the fear of the what ifs almost consumed me at the time. But I decided to push against those fears, take the risk that was in my head and go for it. And I'm so glad I did. So highly encourage you to find whatever that is for you and go ahead and take that risk. The second tip I want to share with you about cultivating a growth mindset is one that I really like. And that is start using the word yet more in your vocabulary. I want you from today on forward to stop saying you can't do this, you can't do that, period. And what you need to say is, I can't play the harp that well yet. I can't play guitar yet. Do you see the difference that small word makes? By ending those sentences with yet, you are cultivating a growth mindset that understands that things take time. You need to be educated on things. You need to give yourself the chance to learn something. You can't just say full stop, I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't know this, I don't know that yet. Yeah, maybe not now, but don't put a period on the end and be done and never look back at something that you're interested in. You don't know how to play the harp yet. I don't know why the harp came to my mind, probably because it's just so beautiful and majestic. I don't know how to play the harp, but that doesn't mean that if that wasn't something that I would love to accomplish in my life, that I can't. So I can say, I don't know how to play the harp yet, but I am working on it. That is leaving room for growth. I'm not great at dancing yet, but I will be with practice and consistency. I'm not great at talking in front of the camera yet, but I will be when I practice more and more and get more comfortable in front of it. And the third tip for cultivating a growth mindset is to focus on growth, not on speed. Improvement and personal development on things are just not areas that are necessarily going to come super quick to us. For me, I feel like some things came quick to me when I was younger, so that's why I assume that they should be happening at the same speed at my current age. And therefore, when they're not, that's when I want to abort mission because I'm like, oh shoot, it's not happening fast enough. I'm not good at this. People are going to see. No, that's just not realistic. We need to remember that things take time. And if you're comparing yourself to other people and where they're at compared to where you are today on day one, and you're looking at their day 365, you're really setting yourself up for failure there too. And that's really going to cement you in that fixed mindset, because a growth mindset is all about focusing on yourself and your own journey and your own path. Do not do the outside comparisons. If you do need something to compare yourself to, do it to yourself and do it to your day one self or your day zero self. Go on the Stairmaster for 10 minutes, 1 day a week. That's your thing for the next few weeks. And you're going to see over time that you're going to be able to add more minutes as the weeks go by. And what you can do is look back at your day one. Wow, day one, I was only able to do 2 minutes before I just simply could not continue. I had to stop. But now look at me. Now I'm at 15 minutes and I was just at 2 minutes of my day one. Day zero, I wasn't even coming to the gym and doing this. That is the great type of comparison that you can be doing, because that will help boost your consistency, your confidence within yourself. You'll be able to see your own progress and work off of that when cultivating this beautiful new growth mindset for your life that is just going to be elevating you physically, emotionally, mentally, all the things. Don't worry about speed. Just worry about your own growth. Let it be slow. Let it take its time. I want to give you a few daily practices that you can look into to begin implementing a growth mindset. The first one is make a small commitment to yourself that you can be consistent with and grow in. Go to bed 1 hour earlier than usual, or half an hour earlier than usual, or 20 minutes. This is the whole point. As big or small as you want to go, but something that is obtainable. You will see throughout time that you will naturally be able to increase the amount of time and that you will be able to reap the benefits that come with more healthy sleep. The second daily practice that encourages self-growth and this growth mindset is to embrace daily learning. That means we are setting aside time every day for intentional learning, whether that is a podcast episode you're listening to, whether that is a book that you have picked up on a topic that you are interested in, whether you are watching an educational video or taking an online course, it doesn't matter what it looks like, as long as you are implementing that educational factor into your life. And this is so beneficial in so many other ways. It all comes down to this growth mindset, cultivating this new culture for ourselves that will then impact all these other parts of our lives. And when it comes to this intentional learning, make sure you're picking topics that you genuinely are interested in. Especially make sure that they align with your goals, whatever your goals are currently in your life. This is going to help expand your knowledge and also reinforce that reminder that learning is a continuous part of this process. You are going to forever be learning. You want to learn and soak up things for the rest of your life. And the third and final daily practice that we can begin to cultivate in our lives for a growth mindset is to practice positive self-talk. Positive self-talk is going to come up a lot on our mind shifting journey. The most important relationship you have is the one that you have with yourself. So your inner dialogue and how you speak to yourself throughout the day, unconsciously, subconsciously, whatever it is super important to start to pay more attention to. Whenever you catch yourself negatively thinking or doubting your abilities, you can start to consciously reframe those thoughts with a growth-oriented perspective. For example, if you think,
oh, I'm not good at this, I suck at editing,
shift it to, you know what, I'm still learning and improving. And that's okay. I'm not going to know everything all at once, but the more I do it, the more I'm going to pick up and the more I'm going to get better and better at it. I'd love to know what your guys' experiences are and your thoughts are on fixed and growth mindsets. Have you found yourself swaying more to one side than the other? Do you go back and forth? Let me know in the comments. Just remember that by us adopting a growth mindset and engaging in activities that challenge us, those risky activities, we can literally tap into our brain's neuroplasticity and rewire our thinking to acquire new skills and then achieve personal growth, however that looks like for you. You can achieve the success that you want by shifting your mindset into a growth one. And this applies to all the different parts of our lives, your career, your relationships, your physicality, any of your personal goals. Apply a growth mindset to. You hold the power in what mindset you have. You get to choose which one it is. Let me know. Are you going with a fixed or a growth mindset? Thank you once again for joining me for today's episode. I hope you have taken away some nuggets from this episode and are able to apply some of these learnings to your everyday life. Just remember to continue to stay inspired, stay connected with yourself, and stay open to the potential in you that I know you have in you, because we all have it in ourselves. And it is just waiting to burst out if you let it. Until next time, keep shifting your mindset, and I will see you on another episode of the Mindshift Mami Podcast. Take care.